Hola, piloncillos. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Offerings of Copal podcast. Today, we will be talking about a profound cosmic event, the Tonatiuh Kualo. Now, if you heard our episode 3, I believe, 2 weeks ago, we discussed the importance of the lunar eclipse, Mexica Kualo, in the context of modern astrology, but also the ancestral wisdom of the Mexica Tonalpohualli, which is the sacred count of destinies. So I hope that you are ready for this stimulating little plática. I hope that through today's episode, you are left feeling more grounded, less fearful, and just ready for this new chapter that is opening up for all of us. Like I said, this is what we'll be discussing. I'll also be pulling out some cards for us to guide us through this time. So make sure you have your tea or get settled in, and let's get started. By now, you may have heard lots of things in regards to the eclipse that is happening today, or maybe a part of you might be feeling a little uneasy at the events that we're witnessing in the world, and the sort of feeling like we've been sort of in a boiling pot for the last, that can be very arguable, but let's say 2 years or ever since COVID, whenever I feel like it's been really building, and there's lots of different components that go into the further breakdown of that. However, things have been getting especially intense, not only in, our own vicinity, but just everywhere in the world. It feels like there's big moves and big change that is currently underway. By now, if you follow me on, whether it's on Instagram or you found me on YouTube or TikTok or, this podcast, you know that I particularly gravitate toward the topics of ancestral Mexico. And I've been in the field or interested in the field of spirituality for a long, long time. It's going almost on 2 decades now. And I had always searched and wondered, what wisdom our ancestors had. I'd always loved astrology. I loved tarot. And like most of us, I began my journey through Western traditions. But as I learned and grew and started to peel back the layers, returning back to my root, I discovered the profound wisdom that our ancestors kept practiced in their timekeeping traditions. And much of that is not widely accessible. So I do believe it's important to talk more about that perspective and share more. So that's what I'll be attempting to do today, is to expand on how we could use the Tonalpohualli, or the sacred ritual calendar, in a modern day practice to help us navigate our lives, navigate the world, and community. How can we create better community, a more harmonious world, raise the vibration using that ancestral wisdom that was left to us by the generations that came before us. I believe that, the things that we come in contact with are all valuable, even the things that seem difficult. It's about ultimately choosing to find value in these things. And so I also value the astrological perspective. Our ancestors also watched the stars. The Tonalpohualli was born through the watching of the stars. So I do believe these two worlds can come together, and we can use the combined wisdom to form more profound connections with each other all over the world. So let's begin by looking at this Libra solar eclipse. Now, this is the final solar eclipse on the Libra and Aries axis, which represents the culmination of a journey that began with seeking balance in relationships, fairness, and justice. You might want to reflect on the last 2 years and take special consideration as to what has changed in as far as your relationships go. How have you cultivated a sense of fairness and justice? Libra is ruled by Venus, which emphasizes harmony. Yet a solar eclipse disrupts this peace, asking us to examine where we may have been maybe too passive or too compromising. Depending on where this eclipse is hitting your chart, you're going to have different themes emerge. But I do think that overall, we are looking at our communities, our relationships, our relationship to self, to our morality, fairness, justice, etc. So keep that in mind as we continue. In contrast, with Aries, it brings forth this fire of independence, action, courage, more focused on the self. So I do feel that there has been a bit of a push and pull between wanting to do for others and also wanting to do for ourselves, or feeling the sense of responsibility for others, whether it's our families or larger communities. And even our own survival. Like sometimes we get into this place of survival, we're only thinking about ourselves, we're not thinking about how considering the survival of the community would also ensure your own personal survival. I do feel that we get blindsided, but it's like horse blinders when we fall into this place of fear, which I do feel that is something that is being highlighted here. And it's something that you can really see playing out on the world stage, that this attitude of me first and, hyper individualism isn't really serving us on a massive level. Every time we choose the individual, I do feel that the collective takes a toll. And that's not to say that you can't choose yourself and that you can't opt for that self-preservation or for that individuality. I I think those things are incredibly important and necessary. I think that push toward authenticity, towards that self-discovery, towards that place of radical truth is a necessary rite of passage for all of us in order to reach that collective liberation. However, it's like that allowance of the self must also extend to the allowance of others. Like we all want to create this world where maybe we're working 4 hours. We talk about this idealistic version of the world where we work for hours, or there's universal income, or there's investment in infrastructure, where we're, giving the land back, or like being proper stewards of the land, and we're considering the future generations, all those beautiful dreams and wishes and prayers that we have are dependent on the grace that we extend to others. It depends on our letting go of the old agreements that no longer serve our new vision, our new collective vision. I think people are starting to see that, but you can't hope to be given that grace to take your time, that slow life, to answer the DMs, to respond to things truly on your own time. If we don't offer that back, sometimes we demand for the treatment that we ourselves won't give to others. And that is part of the mirror that is being part of the image that is being reflected back in this mirror. And we'll talk a little bit more about the mirror in a moment. But I wanted to bring up these ideas of how we're looking at ourselves, the rules, the established metrics of fairness and justice that we've all silently, agreed to or disagreed to, that I feel are being brought up on a personal and a collective level. So what areas of your life are calling for rebalancing between harmony and independence? I hope that you can take a moment to really think about that. Really pause this and think about those areas in your life that are being equilibrados, like they're being weighed and balanced out. Us, we may all be going through this process of having to move things around to make sure that we are balanced and we're treating others in a balanced way. How can you take assertive steps while remaining in alignment with your own personal values? Now, where I really want to dive in is with the Mexica cosmic insight of the energetic signature of this eclipse, this Tonatiuh Kualo. Now, one of these days, maybe next episode, I originally had programmed that this episode was going to be a little bit more of an educational, like, breakdown of the Tonalpohualli, talking a little bit more about its function for educational purposes. However, I felt that the lunar eclipse the solar eclipse was a bit more important and necessary. I think that we're all sort of feeling the squeeze, but I promise that I will be discussing and giving out more information on the Tonalpohualli on the next episode, so that when we do have these discussions, it doesn't sound so foreign to you. And I hope that we can all begin to discuss these energies in the same level that we do with astrology, that we can have a similar depth of understanding. But so each day in the Tonalpohualli, or the sacred ritual calendar, we have the day energy, and we have the day energy accompanied by the energy of the trecena, which is a 13-day cycle. You can sort of think of it like a week or 2-week energy. And then we have the veintena, which is a 20-day cycle. And that's pretty much like your day, your calendar day. And then you have your year. But according to the day, you have additional energies or regents or teot that accompany the day. Now, the day is further broken down into segments of the day, which we call hours, but they're really about 15-minute intervals. It's really like 13, 12 minutes. It's just really dependent. But each of those segments of the day is also assigned one of the 20 day signs, along with an accompanying teot. And I want to begin our discussion here when looking at this eclipse and the energy potential that is bringing in for us during this time. This really is a closing out of these themes that have been coming up for us these last 2 years, as far as where are we in with our personal relationships with ourselves and with others. And going forward with the energy of the Tonalpohualli, like this is really where the lesson is going to be a little bit more pinpointed. Now, the segment of the day that the eclipse begins on is on Itzcuintli, which is the dog. Okay, and Itzcuintli is accompanied by Tezcatlipoca, which is the smoking of the mirror. And the eclipse ends on the energy of Osomatli, which is the monkey. The eclipse beginning on Itzcuintli, the dog, and ending on Osomatli is really deeply symbolic and goes hand in hand with this Libra and Aries sort of energy. Itzcuintli is an energy, or the dog represents that unconditional love, that loyalty, that connection to the present moment. I want you to take a moment and think about the dogs in your life or the dogs that you've met. It's okay if you're not a dog person. And take a moment to observe. Think about what is a dog? What can a dog symbolize? And as I talk about any of these energies, I want you to use your own observation. Our ancestors believed that these energies were things that were observable. They were natural, observable phenomena. And the dog, you can see that the dog is always in the present moment and knows how to reset its energy. It knows to follow its intuition, that how to explore and how to always make its way back home. It is our companion. The dog represents our best friend, and it is that unequivocal loyalty that dog or its squintly energy can really bring up. There's that dust of energy that gets brought up. The dog isn't always a lone dog. They have their pack. So I feel that this is really bringing in that telescope or that microscope, I think, just depending on where you are, really focusing that energy on our relationship, our loyalties, our boundaries of the self, of others. Dogs are very territorial. They will bark at any intruder or any perceived intruder, whether they're physically there or spiritually there. And it is important to listen to those senses. So today, or whenever you're listening to this podcast, I really want you to take that moment to think about those messages that have been coming in for you from a place that is deeper within yourself. And also, Matli is a communal energy. The monkey is always in community. They have their groups. They're very social creatures. So you can see how both of these energies pertain to an element of how we relate to each other. Both are elements of love. Though I do feel that Itzcuintli is an energy that presides to the north, is a little bit more about those boundaries, of learning, of learning that unconditional love doesn't mean that you sacrifice yourself and your own needs. I do think that is a powerful lesson for Itzcuintli people, or when that Itzcuintli energy comes by. I do feel that it teaches us that, how, where our true loyalties should lie. And also Matli can be seen as more of an energy of how we relate to one another, our interpersonal relationships, how we talk to each other, how we use joy, how our sensuality, our romantic partnerships, our just relationships to each other, and how we take care of each other. The monkeys are always pruning, they're always preening each other, cleaning each other up, eating the little fleas, the little bugs. Se están peinando, they're always taking care of themselves. To our ancestors, the Osomatli was a highly sensual energy that really focused on that flirtatiousness, that invitation to want to be with each other, not to take things so seriously, to be joyful. Often it is the medicine of laughter. But so we have Itzcuintli and Osomatli with the Tezcatlipoca, which is the smoking of the mirror. It represents all of our unconscious behaviors, our the ways in which we act and react to each other, the the perceived narratives and delusions that we believe in or that we allow to block our true sight. So when the Kalipoka shows up, he's really asking us to really look in the mirror, look past the fog, the smoke, and really be willing to see yourself, to take accountability for your actions, and also a willingness to truly see those around you for who it is that they are and past those unconscious behaviors. We all have a duality within us. And it is important that we are able to look at both of those sides. So with this Kalipoka being present on this hour of the eclipse, I really do feel this is a moment where that sun becomes that obsidian disc where we're able to, that light, that we have no light during Tonatiuh Kualo. The light of the moon is gone because it's a new moon, and the sun is obscured by the moon. So we have that obsidian disc in the sky. We have that darkness. We don't have the answers right now. And you're not meant to have those answers. You're meant to just observe, look in the mirror, be willing to look and see past the smoke. What is really there? What is really the motivation for this? And this isn't about passing judgment, but this is about seeing it for what it really is, in the objective truth, whether it's good or bad. And this is the truth of your own truth and the truth of those that are around you. And this can look like feeling that maybe the people that surround you aren't as supportive as you believed or aren't as loyal, with these quintly, that loyalty that you believed with this community isn't the community that you thought it was. In contrast, you can also say that, the remembering that this is an eclipse that's sort of ending the series of lessons. Now you cannot be fooled. Maybe in the past you were fooled by all the shining, the shining mirrors, but now you can't be fooled, and now you can see it. And it is no longer about having that emotional response, or taking it personally in that way. Just being able to see that sometimes these are the dynamics that are at hand. So what do we do with this energy? I really do feel that this Itzcuintli Osomatli with this Kalipoka, that is the pinnacle of the eclipse, but when looking at the total day, the rest of this signature, we have a day of Makwili Coatl, which is 5 serpent, which represents our adaptability, our strength, and shedding old skins. It also represents our ability to express ourselves, how we vibrate. Snakes, serpents are always so close to the earth, but the serpent has the duality of that cosmic wisdom. It represents this deep, profound wisdom that not only comes from the earth, but also from the cosmos. Everything that has its waves, its amplifications is that serpentine energy. And this is really an appropriate metaphor for the eclipse's transformational energy. So not only do we have this Itzcuintli, Osomatli, and Tezcalipoca, but this is happening on the day of Makwili Coatl. The number 5, Makwili, to our ancestors, and our ancestors have their own set of numerology. The number 5 is everything to do with your hands and what your hands are capable of creating. So I really do feel like we're looking at the parts in our lives that we've had a hand in creating, the groups, the agreements, the friendships, the relationships, these areas where that fairness, that justice is being exalted. And it's like really acknowledging our personal accountability in the creation of the situation, which is one of the hardest things to do for most people. We all want to believe that we're doing the right thing and with the right intentions, but sometimes even if we have the right intentions, we're not always going to have that right outcome, nor is it going to be something that is fair for everyone involved. And it is important that we're able to see our role and how our personal self-interest or looking out for ourselves or our selfishness or our individuality is costing someone else their livelihood, or is costing someone else their life, their choices. I think this is an important point because we're this day, this eclipse is also happening during a Sipakli Tresana, and the Sipakli is the crocodile. The crocodile represents everything that is long lasting. If you look at a crocodile, if you know anything about crocodiles, is that they live forever. They live for so long. They're one of our most ancient relatives here on this planet. And with the Sipakli Tresena, we're really looking at the long term, our survival, what we need for the journey ahead, what is sustainable. And I think this is an important thing to ask yourself now. Are the actions that you're taking for either yourself or community, are they sustainable for the good of all? Are our actions truly for the good of all? What is our role to play in this? Sibakli also represents beginnings and those primordial forces of creation. So again, that 5 creation, we have this thing about creating. So if you want to create this new version of yourself, it's going to need your shedding, your ability to adapt, which is that Goat energy. So yeah, I really do feel this is a day of a lot of purging and change. Tlazohteotl is our lord of day and night. We usually have 2 separate ones, but depending on the day, it's depending on the cycle they fall on. Sometimes it's the same energy. And so Tlazohteotl is very, very present today. And this is a big energy of purging. She is known as the Teot of I, I, they call her the Thelt of Filth, but I've never really liked that. I really do feel that is a interpretation of the invaders. But she is more of almost recycling of that purification, that process of decay and rebirth, that alchemy that happens through the germination of a seed, that spark of life, that energy that is present on that top layer of the earth is Tlazohteotl. She represents that top layer of the earth and everything that happens within it. But she is that power of transformative decay. She also represents that aspect of purging, everything that gets excreted from our bodies, our spirit, physically, that sweat, the excrement that gets released every day, and today would be a great day to really just sweat it out, make sure that you have enough fiber so you can get all the stuff out of you, but it is a day to purge. She really brings in that energy of renewal, of rebirth. And with this Goat energy, it's all about just shedding and letting go of these last 2 years. Maybe you had things that you wish would have happened, within communities or within the self or whatever it was. It's just really about putting it in the earth and honoring it and saying your goodbyes to it and just letting it go. I feel like this can be a really liberating action, a good ritual to have today. We are also accompanied by the regent of Chalchitlique, which is the water Teot. She represents all the terrestrial waters on the earth, the rivers, the lagoons, the oceans, the lakes. It is her cleansing and powerful, beautiful energy that is here to help support us and to help us through this purging process. As you're sweating all this stuff out, Chalchitlicue is helping wash this away, helping you purify from this process. Her energy reminds us to flow through change and to trust in the process of renewal, much like the rivers that she governs. Just trusting that maybe, though you don't know exactly what way things will turn, that you will eventually get to the ocean, because all rivers lead to the ocean. So I feel there's a lot of beautiful, comforting energy that is helping support us for the long journey ahead. We're looking at the Sipakli. The Sipakli, they do swim in the rivers and they do swim in the ocean. So I really do feel like the Sipakli, Sipakli, this is the long life you want to have, the fulfilling life, the life that feels like you are full and never hungry, that you have everything that you need, where you don't have to rush, because Sipakli moves slow. The crocodile is slow. It's not concerned. Things will come to this Sipakli. I feel like this is the life that we are striving for, but in order to get there is we have to allow for these things that are keeping us caught in the same patterns, these things and people and routines, these things that are keeping us caught in this pattern of fast consumption, instant gratification. And we have to let that stuff go. And with Sipakli, one of the more important messages is that of sustainability. Do you really need all the shit that you're buying? And I know people don't like for us to come after the stuff they buy. They're like, this is my one happiness. But you didn't come here to this earth to buy stuff. You came here to experience the sun and eat the fruits and see how the wind blows through the trees. You came here to experience life and meet others and, I don't know, be enchanted by art, or to create something, to express yourself, express what you learned. So I think this is also a great invitation to ask yourself how it is that you can create something for yourself instead of going out to buy something. Is like, can you make it first? Always asking yourself that. But these are just some ideas. So in what ways are you being asked to shed old layers and embrace renewal? How can you use Chalchitlicue's purifying energy to flow through this period of transformation? I know that there's a lot of messaging out there about this being difficult, to watch out, to hold on to your chones, all these different things, but I really want you to consider that there is also very supportive energy available to us, especially when we connect to our ancestors and the wisdom that they want to share with us. They want us to learn from their past mistakes and know, like, as much as sounds nice to return back to the old ways, we can never go back. But how can we adapt the old ways into our new ways to create a better world? And now I do think that is a very powerful distinction that I hope that we can perpetuate more, because nothing that is ever going backward is going to really help us. But I think adopting ancestral ways into our modern life is key. Now with the Tonalpohualli, the last two things we didn't cover was the Veintena, which is sort of the month that we're in, and that's Ochpanistli, and the year, which we are in a year of Tekpakt. So we are definitely letting go, shedding, to make room for new ideas. Tekpakt is the obsidian, or it is the flint knife. There is a duality to the flint. The flint can cut. It is associated with that obsidian, but it's the flint is also what gives fire. You like hit the two stones together to create sparks. And so that represents the sharpness of our mind, our ideas, our ability to bring light into the world. So while we may be simultaneously cutting things away, we're also bringing in new ideas and new sparks of life into being. I do. So this is an energy that is with us and has been with us all year since March and will continue until March. And so I want you to take note of it and see how that's applying itself to your life. But Ochpanisli Veintena, which is a 20-day period of cleansing. And we just began it 5 days ago. And this is a day of cleansing, preparation for harvest. This is a time where we're being prepared for the next stage, for the next beginning, as we're preparing toward that, the beginning of the cold seasons, as we're preparing for our continual honoring of the dead. This veintena was a time of is the sweeping of the paths. It's actually my favorite veintena. I really do feel that things really begin to clear for us. I don't know if you had your grandma or your tia, tu abuelita, abuelito, you know, how they would sweep their porches. You know, this is the best time to start sweeping the paths in front of your home, to making sure that your doorways, your entryways that they're clear, that they are inviting for the new energy that is to come. Through the sweeping, you can make way for new energy that is aligned with the eclipse's messages of releasing old patterns. Ochpanistli is a time of ritual purification, where the earth is being prepared for new life after the rains of Tlaloc. You know, now that Chalchitlique is very abundant. You know, I know when looking at the east side of the United States, you know, and I've been really watching the images that have been coming from there and really seeing how Chalchitlique is really just overflowing, and she's carving new paths, and it's sad. I mean, I my heart goes out to all the people whom are suffering, who have lost their homes, or lost their loved ones, and also prayers of gratitude, you know, for the lives of those that are saved, that they are alive. You know, I keep seeing videos of people being like, oh, well, my car's underwater. You know, this is all my stuff, everything, all the hard stuff that I work for is all underwater. And I think that this is a reminder that what is truly important is our lives, and that those things, you know, though you've spent years, you know, the things that we spend years accumulating, how important are they really compared to your life and the life of your children and your ability to enjoy another day? I know it can feel difficult to want to lean into that, but I do think that it's important. So yes, so Chalchitlique is definitely been on a cleansing path. You know, reminds me of the times when the Great Sipakli was the creation story of the Great Sipakli, where the earth was just covered in water, and it was the Sipakli whom was devouring everything that the Skalipoca and Quetzalcoatl had to battle in order to create, well, through the defeat of the Sipakli's body became the land masses on the earth that we now stand on. So I do think there is a lot of relevant energy here, really bringing us back to the creation, to the beginning. You know, for a lot of us, this is definitely a brand new beginning. So I hope that you're able to identify those areas in your life and find relevance in these things that I'm sharing with you. I know a lot of it may sound a bit like gibberish, or maybe you're struggling to understand the fullness of this discussion. And for that, I'm sorry, you know, but I hope that in my continual sharing of this, and as you continue to learn, that this will become less entangled. It's taken me a journey to get here to this point, and I'm excited to share this with you. I do think that this is such profound wisdom and so deep. You know, I can really sit here and break down all these different energies, even thinking about the numbers. There's so many associations that our ancestors had all within the calendar that we can draw such rich wisdom from. But this is just the beginning. So this is my beginning here in sharing this palabra, this word with you, and sharing this knowledge with you. And I'm going to continue to speak about it so that this can spread, so that your understanding can also deepen, so that you can see the richness that surrounds you and the richness of your ancestral inheritance for all of us, for all of us human beings on this planet, and for all of our plant and animal brothers and sisters, so that we may all benefit and so that we may all have a thriving future. I want to ask you another question as we prepare for this next section of the podcast is, what aspects of your life need to be swept clean during this time of purification? How can you incorporate cleansing rituals into your daily life to align with this energy? Remember that this eclipse energy isn't just happening today. This is until the next eclipses. This is what's really just being cleared out. It's time to let go, time to shed, time to make room for all that new energy that's about to come in, and really start considering for our long-term survival. And survival, I want to say thriving. I don't want us to feel like we have to be in this place of survival, but this is a survival of human beings of this planet, which right now feels very precarious and like it's hanging on a thread. But it's going to take all of us to really engage in this. So for that, I thank you for your presence and for your energy. So at this stage, I'll be pulling some cards to provide guidance on how we can best navigate these transformative energies. So I'm drawing from the Mi Corazón Mexica Tonalpohualli deck and from the Shaman of Healing Oracle. And I'll also be reading from my Tlazohteotl Oracle, my book Tlazohteotl Oracle, Divinations for Night and Day. What I'm seeing here is we have this Eight of Sekbakt, which I feel is really drawing attention to our inability to respond. I feel like you may be feeling maybe a little paralyzed or unsure of what direction to move in. But with this card, it's often our own anxieties, our own imagination that is making things out to be more than it really is. Or there could be a feeling of maybe you feel like you're being watched, like you're like like your every move is being calculated or weighed in some way. But I think that when you align your heart and you tap into that space within yourself and see where that energy is really coming from, I think that that realization that it's all good, which is the other card you got, or we all got collectively, we can step into that place and allow ourselves to step away from these feelings of anxiety. Oftentimes, this card is very much, you can definitely do it. You can take that action, but the only one that's holding you back is yourself. And I also see here we have Makwili Yolot, which is the Five of Hearts. Here, seeing that we're being held back by part of us don't want to let go of something. There could be something going on in your life, that's happened. Maybe it happened 2 years ago, maybe it happened 10 years ago, or however long ago. And it's that inability or lack of willingness to want to move on. Sometimes we hang on to our stories, our narratives, our traumas, or our victimhood, or those times that we didn't get the justice that we felt we needed, and we get stuck in that time period looking for that. I think it's important that you acknowledge that whimpering spirit within us that is stuck on something that happened long ago, and acknowledge that individual, acknowledge that hurt, and let them know that they are seen, Light a candle for them, even those parts of you. You can light a candle for those parts of you to help them move on, to help you let go of these things in order to move toward a more peaceful world, a world without war or a world without these things. At some point in time, someone is going to have to let go of that hurt and maybe not get that justice that they feel they deserve. And that can feel really difficult. But how long or when do you call that justice has been served? When between two countries or two people or individuals, that are asking for an eye for an eye. How many eyes do we really have? At some point we have to let go of that vengeance, of that sense. I mean, I'm not saying like to give up on those things, but if it's one of those things that you've been hanging on for years, and if you've not taken action, I think this is really dependent. And I'm saying this with as much care as I can, especially if there's family dynamics or there are dynamics that are difficult, that you can't just simply look the other way. I totally understand, and I'm not asking you to, but there are some things that we just hold on to, like, oh, last year that person cut me off and like I'll never forget it. And you live with this anger. And this card is a reminder that there is so much more, that these things that don't work out for us or these things that don't come through, and this could be a very recent event where maybe something you wanted to come through just didn't. This is a reminder that those things that didn't make it are fertilization for your new seeds. I feel this is a Tlazohteotl energy. Offer that energy to Tlazohteotl so that she may transform it. You can put these things in the ground. And it's time to go home. It's time to go home and clean up from that mess. Sometimes when we're really caught in it, the place that suffers is our home. It's time to go back to the things that we've been neglecting. Just focus on the self. I really did hear this message of, just witness what is happening right now. You don't need to have the answer, and just focus on yourself right now. Focus on your home. Focus on on your heart, and remember who you are. Remember to tap into that confidence, to tap into yourself, and tap into your expression. And this is is Tonatiuh, and we have Tonatiuh being represented, and today with the eclipse is Tonatiuh Kualo. And I feel like this is reminding you that the sun will come back out again. The sun will return, the light will return, things will make sense again. But to honor this time, I just flipped through my book, Tlazohteotl Oracle, and the message that we pulled today is the medicine is already within you. Tap into meditation and connect with the natural rhythms around you. La medicina ya está dentro de ti. Sumérgete en la meditación y conecta con los ritmos naturales que te rodean. I think it's a beautiful reminder to just tap into yourself. Stop seeking outside of yourself right now. Find that confidence, find that light within you, especially when the light outside is dark, when the world outside is dark. It's important that you can tap into your own inner light to guide you through these times. So yeah, that concludes my card reading. I hope that it has brought you a sense of peace. I hope you can take some time to light a candle, light some copalito, and tap into the guidance of your own ancestors. What is the guidance you're receiving from your ancestors during this powerful time of transformation? And I guarantee you they are speaking to you. They've been speaking to you. They'll speak to you. And how can you integrate their wisdom into your life? This solar eclipse on Tonatiuh Kualo is not just a celestial event, It's been an opportunity. It is an opportunity for deep personal and collective transformation, combined with the energies of Libra, Aries, Coat, Zipacli, Chalchitlicue, Tlazohteotl, Ochpanitzli, and Tezcatlipoca. Reminds us that change is necessary for growth. Purification and renewal are at the heart of today's energies, this portal's energy, and it's time to release what no longer serves us in order to step into a new cycle. By aligning with these ancient and modern interpretations of these energies, we can embrace the eclipse's power and use it to guide us toward balance, courage, and renewal. How will you use this eclipse to release the old and embrace the new? What steps can you take to honor the transformative energies of today and move forward with clarity and purpose? I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope that it brought you more perspective and a sense of peace and a sense of being supported by your ancestors and their wisdom that is still available for us today. It's already within you, especially if you're feeling a little lament at not fully understanding or not having that knowledge. It's already within you. Y poco a poquito, you can begin to uncover and to start pulling it out. Let me know how this eclipse is going for you. You can leave a comment depending on whatever platform you're using to listen to this podcast. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you're choosing to listen to. And I encourage you to please leave a comment. I've been enjoying the comments that you've been leaving on the last podcast. And I've had a few of you reach out and express how you've related, especially the last one we had about the sacred plant medicines and how you're seeing that play out in your lives. And so I'm grateful to hear your feedback. And if you don't follow me already, you can follow me on Instagram at cihua.mazatl. And if you would like to pick up a copy of my book, Tlahtolli Oracle, Divinations for Night and Day, you can find the link in the description, or you can also find it anywhere books are sold. And if you would like to further understand your own natal Tonalpohualli energies, I can do a Tonalamat reading for you, which is a reading of the natal energies you came into the world with in context of the sacred ritual calendar, the Tonalpohualli. This is an incredibly deep and powerful reading that can help provide you with tools to navigate your daily life and also connect you closer to the ancestral traditions of Mexico. And it can also provide you with your first name, your calendrical name. I have this available. I'll have this linked below. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it, Piloncillos. Thank you, Tlazohteotl, again for tuning in. And I'm sending you all so much love and peace during these times. And yeah, let me know if there's any other topic you want me to discuss. But besides that, I will see you next Wednesday. Tlazohteotl.